ISFPs, they have low organization, medium extroversion, medium openness to experiences, average agreeableness, and probably very high neuroticism. If you could describe them in one sentence, it would be exactly that. If you could describe them in one word, it would be exactly that. If you take the 16 personalities test and put everything in the middle, your result will be ISFP. For the most part, ISFPs are the type with the most possible mistypes, always getting confused with ISTPs, INFPs, and INFJs, or even INTJs. In other words, if you are not sure what your type is, you are most likely an ISFP. When females, most ISFPs tend to be e-girls who bleach their hair, put LED lights in their rooms, and change their username every single day, or even delete their Instagram weekly just to reactivate it later. In addition, they are probably playing either Valorant or League of Legends with a group of Sims that follow them because they have nothing else better to do with their lives. When male, they are poor, screwed over people who are probably following these girls, like my friend Bruno. Some strengths of this type are their high sensitivity, their ability to listen to other people, and their value of the social circles they have, although they are also very selective about who they consider as friends. ISFPs know how to respect other people's personal space. They seek serious commitment and long-lasting relationships, although they don't always succeed in it and often say they don't want a relationship. ISFPs are considered the most intuitive of the sensors. They have an openness to new experiences that is not abstract, but that it is not non-existent also. And unlike most intuitives, ISFPs are very good at dealing with practical everyday issues. They are people who are very willing to compromise in relationships, and they have a great love for aesthetic and beauty of the things. Some weaknesses of the ISFPs is that their love for aesthetics can make them judge people more by their appearances than by other things they can offer. They are not very good at planning, especially financially. They are among the personality types with the worst salary predictors. Because they value living in the moment, they can seem lazy and slow, waiting to extend this moment of now to infinity. They need their own space a lot and hate having it invaded. They tend to keep thoughts and feelings until the last moment. They can be very cynical and want to resolve conflicts in a very practical way. As a dominant function, Fi manifests as a moral compass that points to the direction in which to explore next. It causes the ISFPs to judge the people around them as good or bad, the actions they take, and this is what makes the ISFP sometimes be seen as bipolar, so to speak. Because they only see the world through what is right and what is wrong, what is good or what is bad, and often taking these concepts to their extremes, to polarities. Because it is an introverted function, the ISFP will rarely express it, what they truly feel, to other people, often not revealing it to their closest friends even. In one sentence, dominant Fi would be, I must decide how I feel and where I stand on these issues before I can come to a conclusion about what to do. Next, as an auxiliary function, the extroverted sensing SE tries to manifest the ISFP's emotions outwards to the external world and especially expressing their feelings. This is what makes them express themselves through art, through clothes, through music, anything that can be captured by the body's five senses. They want to dissipate these emotions outwards to the external world, and they are very good at doing this. Because of this function, ISFPs may enjoy showing their affections through actions or service they perform to others. This is often what makes this type highly valued for sexuality, unlike intuitives. Just like I say, most of e-girls and girls from OnlyFans are ISFPs. But some other examples of ISFPs can even be the greatest pop singers like Michael Jackson, Prince, and even Billie Eilish. The auxiliary SC monologue would be, I want to live what I identify as the best or most pleasant experiences in life and see what happens as a result. However, there are ISFPs who are much more idealistic and abstract, like Aaron Yeager or Squidward from SpongeBob. This happens when the ISFP skips his auxiliary function and goes directly to NI, the introverted intuition, which for him is a childish function. And I tries to look for the meaning behind things. But unlike the INFJ or INTJ who are dominant NIs, the ISFPs never seem to take those abstractions or these abstract ideas and word connections of NI any further. They stop halfway through, so to speak. Sometimes this is what makes them seem superficial by trying to give weak meanings to their actions and choices. Or sometimes they seem paranoid, imagining that everything has a hidden meaning and that it connects with them. I wouldn't be surprised also if most of the social activists are also of this type because of these things that I've just said. If the auxiliary SE were doing its job, the ISFP would be able to look around and observe the empirical evidence that most of their theories probably do not reflect reality. The NI child monologue would be, everything is connected and there is an evil truth behind things. Now, the inferior function or extroverted thinking DE manifests itself as the inability to put external desires or plans into motion. It is a function associated with self-efficacy, the sense that an individual can get things done in the world. And when this self-efficacy is low, the ISFP believes he is not capable of doing things in this world. He ends up losing his self-validation, needing to look to other people for guidance. This can lead the ISFP to be easily controlled and manipulated by other people who are not so well intentioned. The inferiority in monologue before maturation would be, I have many goals that I want to accomplish, but I often have difficulty putting them into motion in a tangible way. I'm afraid of being seen as incompetent by others. And to overcome this, ISFPs should value their expression in the external world, in sensations, and in the physical reality of things. To do this, they should spend more time with ESTPs and ESFPs, who would help them to get out of their shell and get out of this internal world, to see reality, so to speak. The types that get along the best with ISFPs tend to be the ENFJs and ESFJs, as they value feelings and empathy more, which makes communication with these types much easier. And comparing to their sister types, the ISTPs tend to be much more emotionally distant than the ISFPs do. The INFPs hardly like to express themselves in the body or through the body, and in the external world or even the social world, and much prefer to express themselves through fantasy, imagination, and stories, like J.R.R. Tolkien, who was an INFP. ESFPs tend to be much more psychopathic and less emotional. ISFJs tend to have a decent job, a family, 3 children, 2 dogs, and a husband. And as I said before, if you are an ego, it is very likely that you are an ISFP. And in that case,